Well, we are not done yet with the Grand Prix of St. Pete. I want to remind you, Sunday, March 20, the NTT IndyCar Series roars back into life. That's at the first oval of the year, Texas Motor Speedway, on NBC and on Peacock, home of the Indy 500. Look at that crowd. There's been such a great atmosphere here this weekend, such a great feel, and it happened right from when we first arrived, even on Thursday afternoon. Friday was a spectacular crowd for practice day. A lot of the Road to Indy races that occurred today and yesterday. Just been a fabulous feel all weekend long.
This is always one of my favorite events, Lee, just to come here. It's such a great setting. It's such a great place to kick off the season. And yes, this crowd today is absolutely unreal. So awesome to see. 29 laps to go. Looking at Scott Dixon, who leads Pato O'Ward by about 13 seconds. Dixon will have to stop again. And then so you get back into the group all on the same strategy. See the white and red car. That is Scott McLaughlin and the Dex Imaging Chevy for Team Penske, who is ahead of Alex Palou and Rinus VeeKay. Can VeeKay stand on the podium? How's this one going to shake out?
And the question you asked me at the start of this race, Lee, is who can challenge Alex Palou? And I talked about temperament. James, you and I talked about temperament a lot with Palou, an amazing young driver. This guy, Scott McLaughlin, has showed us today that even when he got caught up in between strategies and he's mid-pack on a restart, he never lost his cool. He has absolutely been mistake-free today. He looks totally in control, in command of the situation. His team has coached him all the way through the melee, and he finds himself right back where he wants to be.
But you got to remember, Scott McLaughlin comes. Is this a car off in turn 10 right in front of him? Yes,
sure
yellow
is.
flags. It looks like Dalton Kellett has got back on track. Went long in turn 10. Has he stalled it, guys?
Uh-oh. Big for VeeKay.
Huge for VeeKay.
If a yellow comes out, Rinus VeeKay gets the fuel he needs. Look at the two flags are in the hand of the flagman, but no, they hold them off as Dalton Kellett continues.
And we saw one of the McLaren cars, O'Ward, dive into the pits on the assumption that maybe we were going yellow.
Did you see that flagman? He was about to go double yellow.
Yeah, Pato O'Ward coming down pit road. It actually was planned, guys. It did not matter if the yellow was going to come out or not. They asked Pato, can you stretch it a little bit further? We'd like to kind of match what Scott Dixon is doing here. He said, I'll try. And then he said, no way I can do that. You see that massive front wing adjustment again. He said this thing is an absolute handful. Again, the two stoppers, O'Ward, one of them, Dixon's still on the track.
Yeah, trying to match Scott Dixon on fuel. Not the easiest thing to do for anybody.
But, you know, Diff, I got to wonder, we've talked the last couple years about Pato O'Ward. He's got outright pace. Where they consistently seem to struggle is hanging onto the balance over multiple laps. We've heard O'Ward say so many times, I'm losing the rear, this thing's a handful, I can't drive this, I need to pit for tires. They know that this is the challenge they're working on. But here we are in another season, and it seems like they're picking up with the same challenges they left off with.
Yeah, when you have an off season where we had almost no development to do on the car, there were no new parts, there's no new engines, there was nothing really to focus on that was new, you really had the chance to kind of look internally at yourself. What can we do better as a team? And that was a big area that McLaren identified. More resources than anybody from an engineering standpoint, and it still seems like they're struggling a little bit. How much of it is a driver style? How much of it is car setup? We just don't know, but there's definitely a lot of work still to do here in this group. Hey, Marty, what do you have on Colton?
Colton Herta sitting in 6th right now. You might wonder why he pitted earlier than all the other ones doing 2 stops. Listen, here's the answer.
We miscalculate there? Everybody went so much further. No, we didn't get you all the way full on the first stop. We need 81.6 to get to the finish without a yellow.
So, Townsend, I don't know their strategy, but 81.6 sounds like a big save for Colton Herta to the end of this race. I'm sure it is doable, but no doubt he is saving fuel to get to the end here in St. Pete.
Yeah, you can hear the frustration in Colton Herta's voice. It's reminiscent of Nashville last year when Colton Herta had a winning car, got frustrated that things weren't going his way. This is a key moment for Colton to do what he told me before the start of this race. Hey, I just need to finish in the top 5. Got to calm yourself down, take what you're given, take maximum points available. That's how you win championships in IndyCar.
There's Dad Brian down bottom left. Yes, that was a point of reflection at the end of season 2021. As good as it was, with 3 victories, he still said, I need some refinement. I've got to look at myself to do that, where I can be better inside the car in terms of keeping my cool, keeping the big picture in mind. And yes, I can work on that. So you just heard that frustration starting to creep in there because he wanted to defend this race win of a year ago. That's going to be pretty tough now over these last 23 and a half laps.
The problem, James, is when you're the dad on the pit box to tell your kid, hey, stay calm, chill out. If I said that to my kids, I know exactly the reaction I'm going to get. Opposite of what I want to accomplish.
The harder part is the kid to listen to his dad. Yeah.
Totally. Look at that Firestone telemetry lower left. Let's see how fast Colton Herta gets here on the front straightaway. 162. Colton Herta giving a fuel number back, and I'm not sure if he's saying, hey, I'm getting the mileage or I can't get the mileage.
They're telling him he needs more, and he's saying, I'm doing the number you told me to do.
Maybe they also miscalculated the number they needed. It is sort of a moving target as the race progresses. You look at the lap times, and sometimes that number has to be adjusted, but it's interesting. You are sort of hearing Colton Herta's frustration, as you said, and he said that was one of the things he had to work on. I can't even imagine Colton Herta angry. When you see this kid outside of the car, he's just the coolest, calmest character, doesn't seem to have a care in the world, just wants to drive IndyCars bad fast.
You know, we talk about all the pressure on the drivers in IndyCar races. How about the data engineer, right? These are the moments where that entire timing stand of 5 or 6 people goes and looks at the young man or woman on the laptop whose job it is to know in the moment exactly how much gas they have available. Look at the stress you see there from the engineering team on Palou. There's Taylor Kyle. There's Michael Cannon. These guys they're tweaking just like the drivers are.
Michael Andretti, yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, it's one of these things where you look at racing sometimes as an individual sport, but guys, let me tell you, this is the epitome of a team sport, because one of those people doesn't do their job right, it could all fall apart. And look what's happening on track.
Yeah, Will Powers got ahead of the Sonax Chevy, ahead of Rinus VeeKay. The Verizon Chevy looking good. Kev, let's talk more about VeeKay.
Townsend, I'm going to tell you there's a chance for Rinus VeeKay. They're saving. Brent Harvey, the strategist, wouldn't tell me whether they had to have a yellow or not. He just said, we'll see. Common thought is they're saving in case there's a quick yellow to make sure they're coming to the end of the race. But they're approaching it right now like, let's try to not have to pit, but it is going to be a long save to be able to get it home.
Well, listen, let's talk about the positives, whether he's on the podium or not at the end of this race. This young man was on a rocket ship ride early last year. Got his first, he's been on the pole, he's got his first race victory, then he breaks his collarbone in Indianapolis on a training bicycle ride. And ever since then, the results went away. He answered questions from all of us and from all of the media. What's wrong? Why are you different? You don't seem the same. Is your collarbone bothering you? And he said, no, I feel great. But the results, the numbers didn't lie. The results weren't there. So he's now moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, away from Indianapolis. He's living by himself. The big feedback from the team is he has matured immensely and grown within himself. And this is a dramatic turnaround. He is being quick in practice. He was quick in qualifying. He's at the head of this race.
I'll tell you what else has been a dramatic turnaround is the street circuit and performance by Chevrolet. As Scott Dixon comes to the pit right now, Marty, top 4 cars, 3 are Chevys.
I tell you, Townsend, just a masterful job for Scott Dixon, showing why he's so good. He went 41 laps on that stint. Now, granted, there was some caution in there, certainly helped him, but that could be a huge key in gaining him some track position. Final stop of the day, clearly, those Firestone primary tires going on. Dixon saying a little bit of a handful there at the end of the run, but an impressive stint for Scott Dixon.
PNC Bank Honda team from Chip Ganassi Racing doing everything they can for their man. Scott will take what he can get as he rejoins behind Romain Grosjean. First drive in that DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport for the Swiss-born Frenchman. Loving his life now in America full-time with his wife and 3 kids, living in the Miami area and just really enjoying it. Was voted most popular driver of IndyCar last year, and he's taking that and running with it. In 7th at the moment, you're looking at the United Rentals Honda ahead of him, Graham Rahal, as they chase down and try and chase down Colton Herta.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked like Colton was maybe struggling a little bit there, holding these 2 guys up, but now Rahal is falling back into the clutches of Grosjean here. Grosjean going to be very keen to get back up closer to his teammate, right on the gearbox of that United Rentals Honda.
Good drive from Graham Rahal. Big changes at Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan this year. Gone to 3 cars. Takuma Sato moving over to Dale Coyne Racing. And Jack Harvey. And Jack Harvey settling into the team really well, and Lundgaard is the third driver in that team in the Shield Cleansers. It's a happy family at Team RLL.
Yeah, look at Grosjean. He is pushing really hard. Certainly the Andretti team will know, hey, Colton Herta 2 laps less fuel than what you have, Grosjean. If he has the pace and can get by Graham Rahal, you know, Grosjean potentially could get himself up to challenge VK in that top 4.
Scott McLaughlin leads the race for Team Penske in that Dex Imaging Chevy. He has 111 of his 150 seconds of push to pass and is in control of this race. What's going on in the skyline of St. Petersburg, Florida, and lots happening down on the ground. 24 of the 26 starters still active in this Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete with 17 laps to go. And it is this man here, the 28-year-old New Zealander, Scott McLaughlin, in his second full season. He came to St. Pete at the end of 2020, immediately following the Bathurst 1000 at Mount Panorama in Australia. That was a wild week to do that. Hitch, you've done that event, you know how crazy that is. And then now here he is in his third time, Marty, on the streets of St. Pete, feeling right at home, more comfortable, and he's in control by 2.5 seconds.
Having a nice run. Let's go through the field. We'll start with Scott McLaughlin. And Lee, he admitted to me that, hey, there were points in my rookie season where I questioned, why did I leave Australia? Why did I leave a comfortable spot? He said, but I knew in the back of my mind, I want to race against the best in the world. He knew he could improve his program, and here he is staring down maybe his first IndyCar win ever. Behind him, Alex Palou continues to show why he is unflappable. He told me in the offseason, he said, listen, after 3 weeks of celebrating, enjoying things in Spain, I walked back into the shop and I told myself 2021 is over, 2022 starts right now, and he's picking up right where he left off. Looks like another podium in race 1 for Alex Palou, Kevin.
Marty, Will Power's had some rough starts to seasons that's taken him out of the championship mix, so this is going pretty well today. By the way, he also is a lap better on fuel than the other contenders, so maybe that's a factor that allows him to maybe cut into that 3 second-plus gap on Alex Palou. Power in good shape right now for a podium. And Rinus VeeKay, the 21-year-old, behind him. Lee mentioned that he's moved to Fort Lauderdale, but he told me, I spent more time in Indianapolis over the winter getting to know Matt Barnes, my engineer. I've got basically a room in his house. We spent all winter together trying to figure some things out, and it looked like it working. Marty.
Kevin, to the point Townsend was making a moment ago about Colton Herta staying calm on the radio. You can hear him sort of calming himself down. He's making that fuel number. Looks like they'll be good to go to the end. Last year at this race, he led all but 3 laps, but starting the season with a top 5, he told me, that is our goal. We just want to start the season with a nice finish. He has never finished better than 7th in the first race of the season. Behind him, Graham Rahal in 6th, an impressive run. He started 11th today. So what did he do after he was frustrated with qualifying yesterday? He told me, I went back to my motorhome. I watched in-car footage from every in-car camera I could find. And he said, that certainly helped me today, Dave.
Behind him, the 28 car this year, the yellow car, that's Romain Grosjean. Here's one of those in-car cameras. Don't know if he can get his hands on this one. This is courtesy of Auto Nation as we ride on board with Romain. Went to the big team this year, he said, so I have big expectations. And after the first test, he knew he had something here as he now fades to the inside there. Not sure what was that all about, Marty.
It would be Scott Dixon coming on fresher tires. That's what that's about, Dave. And Dixon trying to make his way through the field. Again, they went with that 3-stop strategy. He has been the furthest forward of those going with 3 stops today. Dixon trying. That traffic is tough for the lead.
Oh, look out. Here he comes in the PNC Bank Honda. Dixon should be able to slice his way through a few here. He's sitting in 8th. And playing a serious game of trying to get in the top 5 here before race end. And he's got lots of time to do it, Hitch. 14 laps to go.
He sure does. And right on his gearbox is the rookie Christian Lundgaard for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, that number 30 car, the red and white one. As we go back to the leader now, who is in traffic, the teammate of Alex Palou, Jimmy Johnson, has definitely held up Scott McLaughlin and closed that gap considerably. Scott's going to take a look now. Jimmy's making it tough.
This is a Jimmy Johnson we haven't seen mixing it up at the front. Gets out of the way for his teammate, but I saw Jimmy Johnson put his head down 2 laps ago. He started clicking off laps that were about a second faster. So clearly, Johnson trying to help his younger teammate, Alex Palou, and it worked. At least Palou was able to get to the track for McLaughlin. As you see, the gap has totally disappeared. Marty, that was a Jimmy Johnson we didn't see at all last year.
Well, and that was Jimmy Johnson trying to stay on the lead lap. So a moment ago, Scott McLaughlin asked his team, hey, can you move the 48 out of the way? They told him he has the right to be there. There's nothing we can do. You have to pass him on your own merit. But there's no doubt that lead is almost gone.
Well, imagine if McLaughlin can get his first career win by holding off the defending series champion. This is far from over. Half a second between first and second. McLaughlin, Palou.
I need a fuel code 80.
Fuel obviously still at play for these guys. So pretty similar on push to pass. 15-second advantage to Scott McLaughlin. He used a little bit on that lap, but under a second. It was 2 seconds that Scott lost there behind the 48.
I'm just looking further up the road for the next car potentially that McLaughlin will encounter is the number 29 car, Devlin DiFrancesco, a rookie, running 102s. The leader's running 102s, so they might not catch him.
McLaughlin said to me the other day, I was looking at some numbers, and Alex Palou in his first season, he got 1 podium. I got 1 podium. Alex Palou in his first season finished 16th. I finished 14th last year. I think I've got a chance. I think I'm looking pretty good.
And in his second season, Alex Palou won his first race in the first race of the year and went on to the championship. So yeah, Scott, it's not looking bad for you at this moment.
There's some similarities between these 2 very talented drivers. One grew up in Spain, one grew up in New Zealand and Australia.
Penske versus Ganassi, Chevy versus Honda.
First race of the year, couldn't ask for more.
You want to talk about level set in a competitive playing field here in IndyCar. This is all the evidence you need to know that anybody has a chance in this deal.
And you 2 got into your routines, respective routines in your off season. Scott McLaughlin and his wife Carly went to Italy just to get away from it all. And I think that might become a regular fixture if he goes on to win his first race here, because he's come back this year kind of a different guy.
When you say my off-season routine, what do you imagine that to be?
I don't know. Well, you went to, didn't you go to Fiji this off season?
Yeah, James went to Singapore.
Sure did. Sure did. But guys, look, I just want to go back to that last pit cycle. We talk so much about how important the in and out laps are in the IndyCar series, how key it is to get moves done during those pit stop cycles. We talked about it today. We're going to talk about it all season long. That out lap from Scott McLaughlin was absolutely magical. To keep Alex Palou behind him, who went that lap longer, tried to do that overcut, had those hotter tires, and still came out behind the number 3. That was such an impressive hustle on that out lap from Scotty McLaughlin.
And I can only wonder if McLaughlin thinks about that gap to the next lap car up ahead, which would be DeFrancesco. He's on the lead lap, but the next car that he would have to lap, and this is something Scott Dixon did so well over the last 10 years, is understanding that McLaughlin doesn't need to push too hard. He can allow Palou to get close, lose some downforce, burn up his tires potentially. All he needs to do is maintain track position. You don't have to win by 10 seconds or 5 seconds. Half a second is just fine. I think we're seeing that from McLaughlin, almost toying with the number 10 car, Marty.
Townsend, you guys talked a minute ago about Scott McLaughlin looking at Alex Palou's stats in the offseason, right? Well, in his first meeting with this new driver, Kyle Moyer said, we need to keep things very simple. We need to focus on being in the Firestone Fast 12, not the 6, the Fast 12. They won a pole in their first race. He said, we want to be a consistent top 5 car, and here they are with 9 laps to go, maybe winning the first race of the season. I don't think any of them expected this, but they told Scott McLaughlin a moment ago, this is your race to control. You've driven perfect laps. We need 9 more.
And look, he's in his comfort zone, meaning in the lead. That's what he did in supercars in Australia. He's used to being in control of the race. Have a look on the left-hand side of your screen. Notable drivers to win their first career race at a season opener. Nigel Mansell when he came to kart in 93. Jimmy Vasser, who then went on to win the championship in 96. Max Pappas, Will Power, Alex Palou, and our very own old red gloves, James Hinchcliffe, right here on the streets of St. Pete. So could McLaughlin put his name on that list?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up, Lee. I was just about to say that. I mean, we talk about Scott only being a second-year IndyCar driver, but remember, he was coming off the back of 3 consecutive V8 Supercar championships where he won more races than he lost in those years. So being out front, controlling the pace, from pole, leading laps, this is definitely something very, very cut that he's accustomed to, and he is just absolutely performing and executing perfectly.
8 laps to go, a little less than that. It's been a phenomenal weekend. And you know, they're great examples of take what you've learned in your rookie season. And I'm not just talking about McLaughlin, I'm talking about Palou as well, because he was on a steep learning curve. Now, the one big difference is Palou changed teams. McLaughlin didn't. He's been rock solid with Team Penske, so that's where there's a difference in the variables between these two super talented young drivers.
And Kevin Lee, if you're listening, how's Rinus VeeKay looking back there on fuel? We've had some debate about it. Do you think he's getting the mileage he needs to make it?
He's getting the mileage they want him to get. That's within reason. Now, what they still won't tell me is this just to make sure we get home if there's a quick yellow. But I think you're right. I think you were right that that's what they're trying to do. It's going to be really close, but they said it's all good. And he's only 1 lap off of what Herta is doing, so he might be able to make it home.
The best thing VeeKay has going for him is he has a Colton Herta holding off the field, also saving fuel. So Colton Herta 100% on defense right now, James, and that is the ultimate gift to VeeKay if he knows that. Hopefully his team is telling him that, hey, you got nothing to worry about. Colton's in the same situation. We'll let you know if you need to pick up the pace.
So we see Alex Palou just a single second behind race leader Scott McLaughlin. Want to take you back to some recent radio from the man on the box for Alex Palou, Barry Wanzer. Have a listen.
All right, there's 9 laps to go. If you want to push, you can try to get them, but we can't push all the way to the end.
All right, very short and simple. You can push, but you can't push all the way to the end. That message was 2-3 laps ago.
And that's just a fuel consumption issue. There's just not enough fuel to be able to run 10 tenths and make it to the finish, especially if you're going to be burning any of your push to pass. We see there on the tower, McLaughlin 96 seconds left, 83 for Palou, but those numbers probably aren't going to change because using that overtake button really guzzles that speedway gas, and if they're close on gas, if that's a marginal situation right now, these drivers are going to be told, do not use that button.
The other thing I'm seeing, James, slowly but surely, the number 12 Verizon Chevy of Will Power clawing and dragging Alex Palou towards him. It was 4.3 seconds, now 3.8 seconds. Watch that delta dip. It continues to drop with 6 laps to go. There is a chance that Will Power is going to join the party at the front and mix things up. Wouldn't that be fun?
Hey, Townsend, the reason he's so far back is it took him 2 or 3 laps to get past Jimmy Johnson, and he was screaming on the radio asking help from race control, but Jimmy was within his right. He wasn't a full lap down to the entire field, but he lost about 1.5 seconds there. Once he's disposed him, he's picked up another second on these 2. So Power is coming a little bit, but it might be too late.
And guess what? These guys are catching lap traffic up ahead. It's not too far away for Scott McLaughlin. You're going to see they're going to have to deal with that. So that may be to the advantage of Alex Palou, who just seems to be haunting him. Now it's just over 0.5 second between these 2.
Yeah, this
traffic
is going to be
ahead.
interesting. McLaughlin is going to catch Tatiana Calderon, who's at the back of the lead lap right now. The rookie out of Colombia. She's fighting for a good finish, but she also has the leaders coming, and this is exactly what Will Power needs to catch Palou.
And guys, let's underline what Power's doing here, because he was the one that took that risk, as the flag marshal says 4 to go as they cross the line. But Power is the one that took the risk to start on the primary tires, and that first caution period really actually hurt him. It really benefited the number 3 and the 10 car on that strategy. So had that not happened, this would have been maybe a very different story, and it could have been Will Power's day.
This is exactly what Scott McLaughlin did not need. Traffic ahead in the tight sections of this track. He might be able to set up Calderon for a pass over on the back, heading up towards turn 10. Not close enough just yet.
Kyle Moyer just came on the radio and said she's going to let you through. I've heard that before on my radio and seen it totally not work out. So we'll have to see what happens. Meanwhile, Power, as we've talked about, he has more fuel to burn. He is on the charge, and now he's on the same little short stretch of straightaway as Alex Palou. He's going to catch him real quick right here.
This is going to work out, it should, where McLaughlin and Palou can catch Calderon on the front straight. Let's see if she allows first and second by. She does.
There he goes. Does the sporting thing, moves to the inside, stays out of the race. Not what Will Power wants to see, but definitely what Scott and Alex want to see right now.
3 laps to go here in St. Pete, and Palou is as close as he's been. This is tense stuff for Scott McLaughlin with his first career win on the line.
And Palou's just sitting there saying, I want to hit that button, I want to get on the overtake, but there's no way the team's going to let him. If he's that close on fuel, he would have to save that much more when he got around Scott, which would probably make him as vulnerable to getting passed back. So as a driver right now, Palou is in a painful situation.
I thought Palou was going to hit the fence. He got a little wide in the previous corner. It looked like he was sliding around, and for a second there, I thought he was going to get into the wall.
DeFrancesco is the next car on the list. Up ahead, there he is, just at the bottom of your screen.
It's going to be close. They're going to come to 2 laps to go. Devlin's only a few seconds up the road, and again, has every right to try and fight on the lead lap. Not that there's really any reason at this point. We'll see what happens when they catch there, but this is coming down to tenths of a second with only 2 to go.
Looks like Power will get by Calderon on the front straightaway, like McLaughlin and Palou did a lap ago. There goes Will Power.
But look at this, Palou is liking what he sees up ahead. He knows traffic is coming, and he's going to try and set Scott McLaughlin up with a lap and a half remaining in the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. There's Devlin DeFrancesco in the Andretti Autosport machine.
And once you get into turn 4, Div, there's no place to go by until you get onto the back straight out of turn 9. So they're stuck here behind the 29 for a few more corners, and that is giving Alex Palou the opportunity to set up Scott McLaughlin coming down here. But again, neither driver has hit their overtake button for the last 2 laps.
DeFrancesco did not exit that last corner like a driver getting ready to let somebody by. He was sideways. It looks like he's going to try to hold on to his lead lap position.
I think the best chance Palou has, you're going to get through this chicane here and then go through that final corner, 13-14. He's got to get the power down and try to make that pass into turn 1. That's the best chance he has. He closes right
hard as you want. Hard as you want. Use overtake, whatever you want.
There we go. That's Kyle Moyer on the number 3 saying use overtake. You've got 1 lap to go. Let's keep this win in our column.
Stress to the max here. 1 to go. 1.8 miles is the difference between Scott McLaughlin being a race winner or not. That Dex Imaging Chevy has been brilliant. So has the Kiwi all weekend long. And he's dealing with Devlin DiFrancesco, one of 6 rookies in this race. Will it be a factor or will it not?
It seems like the gap between all 3 cars is kind of the same as you see Dev trying to hold on to it over the bumps there.
He was sideways last lap right here. He's sideways there again, exiting turn 9. He's not going to move out of the way.
He is the last car on the lead lap. And just being a little source of frustration for Scott McLaughlin as he sees his mirrors full of Alex Palou.
As frustrated as he is, that was pretty much Palou's last opportunity. He's going to be close, but this isn't really a place you pass. He's going to have to really get him off.
The 28-year-old Kiwi has sustained the pressure. Scott McLaughlin, he's got 56 Supercar wins.
Whatever you got here. To the
he is now an IndyCar race winner. From pole to victory lane, Scott McLaughlin does it. Incredible performance under the most pressure.
A nice little moment of sportsmanship there between the 2 guys, giving away. But we saw how excited Scott was after qualifying on pole. Just imagine what this interview is going to be like after his first win.
Woo! Oh my God. Mom and Dad, Sam, my sister, I know you guys are watching at home. Sorry, I wish you guys were here.
His folks and sister are watching from New Zealand. They haven't been able to see Scott in more than 2 years. Bud Denker, head of the Penske Corporation, there to celebrate. That was big. So think about Penske's run. Austin Cindric on the pole today in Cup. Austin Cindric won the Daytona 500 last weekend. McLaughlin gets his first career pole and his first victory.
And I'll tell you what, for the rest of this IndyCar field, watch out. I feel like a tiger's been uncaged this weekend with McLaughlin. He is confident now, he is proven, and he's going to go to the next race in Texas where he had a sensational second-place finish in his rookie year.
I love that combination of all the different people from Penske Racing that ended up on his car this year, this sort of serendipitous event to get all these people onto that number 3, and man, they have definitely made a statement here in St. Petersburg. These guys are going to be championship contenders.
This guy was so pumped up yesterday when he won the pole. What are we going to see here?
Big time. And look, this is what he's used to. This is what he did in supercars. But this is a weekend to remember for his IndyCar career. Scott McLaughlin of Team Penske, add him to the winners list. A year ago, it was Alex Palou who won at Barber Motorsports Park to get his first win. He converted that to a championship. Boy, McLaughlin would love that theme to continue this year in his camp.
Great job, Scotty. You're a winner at St. Pete here, bud. Up on the wheel, man. Awesome job doing every single lap of that race, babe.
What a season opener we have witnessed. Those closing laps were tense.
Well, and the thorn in McLaughlin's side last year in his rookie campaign was the street circuits. It was practice crashes and little mistakes, and he was down on himself and frustrated. As Lee said, questioning the move to come over here at that point. Well, there will be no questions now as Roger Penske, the captain, all smiles and thumbs up for his winning driver.
Add him to this list. Mark Donohue, Tom Snever, Paul Tracy, Rick Mears, and Elio Castro Neves, drivers in the history of this sport to get their first win for the captain. That is special. Scott McLaughlin, you are part of a very special club.
I love seeing a driver come back like that. Not to say that Scott was ever gone, but he had those moments of self-doubt, and to come back and make this kind of statement is just, it's incredible.
Hey, Marty, this guy doesn't mind a party, so are you ready? You're in the zone.
I think right now he's feeling the emotion of the moment more than a party. Crying inside the car, you can clearly tell that. Scott McLaughlin, so much went into this. His wife Carly is here, American-born. That made the trip to the U.S. full-time a lot better, but Scott McLaughlin will climb out as an IndyCar race winner, everyone. Careful there. What a celebration. Here's the captain.
And I'll tell you what, that was
Scott, you told me 3 weeks ago. There's Carly. You told me a few weeks ago there were times in my rookie season where I questioned this move. Why did I leave Australia? Why did I come? But I knew I wanted to race against the best in the world. Is it all paid off right now?
Oh, this is... Oh, thank you to Roger Penske, everyone that put the... Oh, my butt's getting burnt. Right, hang on. Oh, that hurt. On the exhaust. Yeah, Dex Imaging jumping on board, trusting me, and then Roger Penske and Tim Cindric giving me the opportunity to come here. I miss my mum and dad dearly and my family, but wish you guys are here. What a day. I'm out of breath, man. Hey, give me a sec.
I got to ask you about that last lap, though. Palou catching you. How hard did you have to fight in behind the wheel?
Oh, man, it was crazy. Really struggled those last couple of laps just to keep my head and save the fuel and all that sort of stuff, but we did it. Chevy gave us the fuel mileage. Drivability this weekend has been a change, and to win at Dex Imaging's home race, it's unreal. Oh my God, I'm just... Love you, Australia, New Zealand, miss you guys. Thinking of everyone in the Queensland floods at the moment. But oh, I can't believe it.
And exhausted, but very happy. Scott McLaughlin in victory lane as an IndyCar winner, Diff.
How good was that? The Children's Miracle Network moment of the race is that one right there. Scott McLaughlin, an IndyCar race winner. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think he said it all. It's just he left it all on the track here in St. Pete. What a way to start his second season in IndyCar. He's going to be tough to beat, James.
Fastest in final practice, started from pole, led like a champion, won the race. It really does send a statement. I'm really excited to see what this season has in store for him.
We have had the most phenomenal weekend here in perhaps the biggest crowd at the Grand Prix of St. Pete, and there's a first-time winner. His name is Scott McLaughlin. Thanks so much for watching the NTT IndyCar Series on NBC Sports.